To Talk with Tuti. This is me, Tuti Baron, and here with my amazing co-host, Kevin Mumphrey. Hi, Kev. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Everything's good on my end. How about you?
Everything is good. Good. But I think, I don't know if everything is good in this country, to be freaking honest. I'm just going to jump in. I'm wearing black today. My black sweater. And I think this country should be wearing black too, just to mourn everything that has been going on over here.
So
you are in
right outside of Nashville.
Media.
Yes.
Yeah, you are in media. You live in Nashville, and you cover that too.
Yes, I do work in news, so I'm not gonna get into it too much, but yes, I was around for the mass shooting here in Nashville. That's a little over a week ago now. Well, by the time this out, should be weeks ago at this point. And because of this, and now there's been a growing conversation about, it's been a conversation about gun control for years now. It just seems to be now growing in this state. I think people are starting to kind of pay attention to the gun laws here. And like a lot of people I know are lovers of guns. They're very much Second Amendment. I don't know which word I want to use, but they love their Second Amendment. And there's a few people I know who absolutely hate the sight of guns. And it's a very contentious issue because it feels like it's one of those issues that it doesn't seem to be a compromise. I don't know what would be a compromise because I hear like some people will say they just want a just like stricter gun law. Like in this country, if you're trying to argue the banning of guns,
I don't think that was happen in America.
It's not going to happen. That there's no winning that fight. Even the just to kind of, and now you're just trying to argue stricter laws, because here it's not that hard to get a gun. Compared to like people I know that I talk to in other states, like you're in California, It is as easy to get a gun here in Tennessee as it is hard for you to get a gun in California.
Yeah, it is. Well, I have my personal opinions on that. And from a person that appreciate guns, because I do. I like shooting, target shooting. I went to a military school in all my life. So I am a person that has been around guns and at a very young age. And
so what was the the earliest you remember being around a gun?
I don't know, like really young. Like I graduated when I was 15 years old, and 3 years prior to that, you start.
Is it 15?
15, yeah. And 3 years prior to that, you start getting more involved in the military side of the schooling. So you learn how to clean them, how to assemble and disassemble and all that stuff. Even before that, you do parades and then so a very young age, 11, 12 maybe.
I think for me,
but this is
maybe like single digits. Now I didn't learn about, I didn't like own around guns in the way that you were around. My
Yeah,
first
but it's a
memory,
school because my mother never owned one.
but I think like you
Right
being
now.
in a military, it kind of taught you how to be responsible with guns.
Absolutely. And that is a huge part of it. It's like you have to learn how to be responsible. Is powerful, is you train for it, you are 24/7, it's not something that you just can grab, you it's with measure, you have people around you at all times, and it's strictly educational. But I have an issue over here in this country, and I feel that I think that this gun regulation is being politicized, and we have stepped aside from the damage that is being done to this country. If you think about it, the U.S. is the only country in the world, in the wide world, and I am not talking about rebels. I am not talking about like um, like inside, groups like terrorist groups or nothing like that. I am not talking about that. I am talking about regular
Like
civilians.
major countries.
Yes, like like we see a lot of things, a lot of problems in the Middle East or whatever.
China,
Venezuela,
Europe,
like
Russia.
yes, like we are the only country in the world where parents have to worry to send their kids to school because at any given moment their kids are going to be a pawn of somebody's rage, a pawn of somebody trying to make a point political wise, a pawn as a release of whatever damage, trauma this person has. And this is the only country in the world that we have to worry about that. But it's also the country that allows to have like weapons of mass destruction available for the public to get. That's insane. And that is the issue that I have here in America. And that is being politicized. That concept right there is being used as a weapon for our politicians, completely disregarding this huge issue. And this is a constant thing that happens here in America. This is the only country in the world that this happens. That the person over and over again goes to school and starts shooting and killing kids. People that are unarmed, staff that is not trained for that. Knowingly so that the victims are completely harmless. They go over there and to make a point, to release trauma, mental illness, whatever it is. But the point that I'm making is that whatever is the cause behind that horrible action, the fact remains the same. This person was able to purchase a weapon of mass destruction for public. Can you imagine? So we are allowing weapons that are used in war for us to be able to purchase. That to me is crazy. It's insane. I don't understand. Why do I want? Because of the Second Amendment or the First Amendment,
Yeah, the Second Amendment.
The Second Amendment.
The politicization of it. So I think when you have a situation where there's two different frames of thinking towards it, it's going to have to be a political situation. Whereas there's one frame of thinking is a country with less guns is a safer country. And there's another frame of thinking where a country with more guns is a safer country. Now, in a sense, I kind of understand both sides, but I also think it kind of depends on, because I think there are certain situations that if they didn't have access to guns, I think the anger or whatever feeling they would have had, they still would have done it. They just found a different way to do it. We live in a violent country. that the no only way they kind of deal with things is with violence. So even if it wasn't with guns, it would have found a way. But also there's certain situations where I believe if they didn't have a assault rifle, and not even like a school shooting, it's regular. I mean, there'll be shootings due to like traffic. You just driving in traffic, someone cuts you off, and their instincts is just they get angry, they go overboard, and they shoot someone. So I think there are instances where both situations, like here, there are just certain places we kind of know someone's not going to go in and shoot him because potentially there may be a lot of guns there. And they're trying to make victims, they're trying to make a victim before they become a victim. And because there's just no way of, like, I feel like there's a compromise to it. I'm not sure what that compromise would be because that's why I'm glad I'm not a politician. But I just like, I mean, I think everybody is tired of seeing children lose their lives. I mean, I have a niece that's in school. That's something I worry about. My mother just.
It really bothered me. It really made my stomach turn. It make me don't settle.
It can make me feel bad for teachers because
I can settle.
Now, I mean, like everything that goes all into being a teacher. You're not just a teacher. You're their sounding board. You're a guardian. You're sometimes playing a parental role, but now you almost have to play. I mean, you're kind of policing behavior. You also now have to be their protector, to give your lives for these kids. Potentially, may have to give your lives to these kids. But do you think there's any, like, what would be the compromise for you?
To not allow weapons of mass destruction, weapons of war in the streets. Because if something gets out of hand with somebody for X, Y, and Z, it would be easier and it would be less lethal, lessen the damage done by a magnum, by a 45.
Still
40.
gets the job done at the end of the day.
Yes, but when you have an
assault rifle, I mean, it tears you to pieces.
You know what I mean? Come on. Like what? Like, but why?
Someone,
you want to defend? So do you need a rifle to defend your house? You can have a handgun. Listen, I can do some damage with a handgun if somebody comes to my house.
Yeah, and
because that's the excuse, right? To be able to defend yourself, your property, or whatever. Do you need a rifle? You need a rifle of mass destruction?
I mean,
you need a semi-automatic weapon? Do you? How many rounds do you need?
And if we lived in, because most people I know are pretty, like, they have gun license, they're very mature with guns. Like, the first lesson I learned about a gun that someone taught me was, you're responsible for whatever comes out of that gun.
That's it.
That was just something my father taught me. Now, a lot of people didn't hear that same thing. So it's just, so we live when it comes to guns, we live in a reckless society. And I don't really talk about guns much with my friends, but there's one question I was asking. I said, like, I know that the forefathers gave us the Second Amendment right, but if those same forefathers had to do it over, seeing this society, do you think they would have given us that same Second Amendment right? Could they gave that right to, I feel like, a society of people that, at least with guns, they were a lot smart. I mean, it was a lot less people too, but it was a lot smarter with it. Like, growing up, I knew not to play with guns. I know if I'm really angry, I probably shouldn't have a gun around me. If someone's angry and have a gun, you don't need to. Yeah, I understand how serious a gun is. a generation before me, they understood the seriousness. Because not everybody, you still had your food, but most people were understanding of having a gun. Understand the sincerity. They understand what they had. Whereas now, let's say like we have more guns than people, and a society that just when it's too like, yeah, I wouldn't. It's like, yeah, I like my right to have a gun, but I've also seen people that I hope to God they don't have a gun. Like if they like the type of person, I'm pretty sure you've seen people like maybe you've thought to yourself or said to someone else like, I hope they don't own a gun because they don't seem mature enough to handle it, especially like an 18, 19-year-old. Now, military wise, they're taught to, they're not enamored with a gun. So I'm usually comfortable with that. But usually, like, if I'm around, see an 18 or 19-year-old with a gun, I'm nervous. Because I don't know how, like, if they talk loud or anything, I don't know how mature they are with their gun.
Like having a car, giving a teenager a car, reckless teenager a car is just giving them a weapon. Yeah. My sadness is that something that I have experienced in this country, there's a lot of healing. And they are so glad, you know what I mean, on politics. Yes. And politics is so manipulative. Here, politics is manipulated in a way that have the country against each other. It really is. And then when you have something like that, I
partly agree with that.
When you have something like that, you're never gonna advance. Like I say, you're never gonna advance. I mean, so you can if you have to feed, you walk faster. That if you have to let you work faster than if you have one. I mean, you're gonna get the job done with one leg, but it's gonna take you longer to get to that target. And this is a country that has two legs, but each leg is just decided to shut down when it doesn't get its way. But the point remains the same. The people, their society is the pawns. You always receive the short end.
So I don't want to blame, but I think the reasoning for it, there's no real progress in it. That yes, we have two different frames of thinking as far as politics. We also have different frames of thinking societal-wise. And we're in a society of 300 million people. It is hard to get 30 people to agree on one thing. Now, one thing I do believe when it comes to politics is here it feels like nothing gets done until it has to get done. Like we don't clean the kitchen until the house is on fire.
Kevin, we are in a country with 300 million people, but not 300 million people made the decisions. And the short amount of people that are in Congress, that are in the government, in all our governmental institutions, have turned their side on the matter of the issue of what people are crying about. And this is something that is being consistent. It's being consistent. It needs to stop. Like, it needs to stop. And we are not asking, or these parents are not asking, these spouses of the teachers that are being, killing the line of fire are not asking to take guns away, but they are asking to take weapons of mass destruction away from the streets.
And that's where I think there's a disconnect, because I hear people say that, and then the other side is you're trying to take my guns away, and it's like I don't.
Because it's been
There's a
politicized. That's the thing. And politicians know exactly what they. You know what? I need to look at the camera. If you are a politician behind all this nonsense, you know exactly what you're doing, and it's disgusting. You know exactly what you're doing, and it's disgusting. Because you are allowing your personal ego and whatever plot you guys got going on take over and completely ignore the pain and the suffering, the life wasted away for your political stupidity. This is a country with people that is hurt. Those are parents that woke up one day and made the little ponytails, the pigtails to their kids. You know, got them nice, went to work, dropped them thinking that they're going to be fine and they're going to pick them up at 12 or 3 p.m. And then they have to find out that their kid's getting slaughtered. Because you in the power are coward enough to step foot forward and say, you know what, we need to stop this. But no, the lives of the NRA is, you know. Who's going against? Who goes against money? Who goes against money? Who goes against the NRA? Or who goes against all these disgusting people? People without hearts. I have to say, and I don't care. People with no sense of loyalty to your pueblo, to your people. You don't see these in other countries, in third world countries. You don't see that. And I am not talking about rebels, and I am not talking about, you know, this type of, you know, issues like war issues that are going on. I'm talking about regular civilians being able to buy guns, and then all of a sudden, poof, something happen, and then take it against the most innocent of your society. And you out there that are seeing this happen, but because it's not your kids, you live in your gated community, you over there have your protection from Secret Service, you don't care. You care about the lobbyists, about your status. You don't care about the politicians. The politicians in this country don't give a freaking flying poop about that. It's something that it makes me really, really upset. It makes me really upset that in a first world country in the world, you know, we have parents crying about this. This is crazy. This is no Al Qaeda. This is no ISIS. This is no, you know, big rebels. This is not the cartel in, you know, in Mexico or Colombia. This is not fentanyl. This is people that are able to buy guns because you have allowed people that are able to buy guns of mass destruction easy. Like they're going to war. Literally. Like they're going to war.
Now you're a parent. Now it's not something you have to worry about growing up, but it's something your child does. How do you talk to her about it?
It just, you know, I have to talk about my kids. Like the other day, I received, you know, there was somebody, you know, with the guns around the area or something like that. But the school, thank God, is like really close to a police station. And anyway, you know, you get and it's nerve-wracking. They have to stop everything. The kids have to get picked up because it wasn't even related. It was somebody around, but it was around the area of the school. And it's nerve-wracking. You know, my daughter talking about places to run, places to hide, where to go. If she hears a sound coming this way or coming the other way, like what? This is a school. These are kids that are going to learn. These are parents that trust in their kids in this institution that they're going to be safe, they're going to be learning. But now they're worried about the kids being killed. What the heck? These people that are going to church and you never know who's going to come in because it's the different religion is going to whack everybody. What the heck? And this is the U.S.?
Now, do you see there's kind of like like let's say the effects of it, like any difference in how you may go out somewhere publicly? Like I'll use me for example. I don't go to like theaters very often, but when I do, especially if I go by myself, I sit in the back, like quickest to the exit. Ever since the shooting in, I believe, Colorado with the Batman movie. I don't remember where it was exactly.
That was Aurora.
Aurora, yes. So ever since then, and I don't go to theaters very often, but when I do, I look for the closest exit, and I will, if there's the closest to the exit I can get to, I usually sit there. Somewhere like a Walmart, very much in and out. Like I don't like sit. I mean, I'm not a person like shopping anyway, but I like to know where all the exits are. Very in and out. So, like, kind of in your day to day, do you see that kind of like going shopping or any little place?
The other day, now that you're talking about the supermarket, it just happened the other day. I was at a particular supermarket. I was literally on the cash rack trying to, self checkout. And outside, I'm close to the door. Outside, a car passed by and the tire popped. Make a big noise.
Oh.
And that noise is not only me. I was so ready to sprint and I looked aside because I know exactly, I saw the side exit.
Yeah.
And I saw that side exit in the supermarket, and I was ready to sprint. I left everything. I was ready to sprint. And the person that's at the door said, oh, it was just a car. It's just a car that happened. But everybody got so tense. Because you don't know when it's going to be your turn. You don't know. But why is this happening? Mental illness is there. It's unfortunate it's there. Unfortunately. Yes. If we're going to blame it on mental illness, not the guns, okay, yes, mental illness is there. And it's a real situation. It's a sad situation. And it's present in our society now more than ever. But these mentally ill people, if you want to call it mentally ill, these mentally ill people are able to purchase a rifle because our politicians are cowardly enough to not prevent that from happening because they are scared of the NRA, because they have lobbyists, because they want to have some sort of power hold with the opposite, political party, because they want to feel in power, because whatever the heck will be the reason, they are unable to take care of their population. And the population is bleeding out in classrooms. Parents have been unable to recognize their child because you guys have allowed this to happen. This is so upsetting. This is so freaking upsetting. It's just, I think this is one of the most upsetting episodes that I have. It's just, I don't want to cry because it's sickening. I want to say something before I close this up because I can't even do this episode. I swear, Kev, it's just too personal for me. Let me gather myself over here. I want to say something before I finish this episode. And I want to say to you that are listening, to you parents that have lost your child, to you husband that lost your wife, to you wife that lost your husband, to you kids that lost your parents because they were working, I'm going to say I'm sorry. From the bottom of my heart, I am so sorry that your country had let you down like that. I am so sorry that you have coward politicians that can step up for your family, for this society. And your kids now are unable to sit on the table for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. I am so sorry from the bottom of my heart. And that's all I have to say. My name is Tootie Barron. And you can find me here at Tell Off with Tootie. In every single podcast available. You can find me on YouTube at Tell Off with Tootie. You can find me in Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as Tell Off with Tootie. I'm going to be here sharing my thoughts,